Now, even those public servants who are drawn to power only to do good can be corrupted by power. Even the good Queen of the Woods in The Lord of the Rings.
I do not deny that my heart has greatly desired this. In place of a dark lord, you would have a queen! Not dark, but beautiful and terrible as the dawn!
And remember, she was the good witch. Truth is, even the best public servants cannot avoid the lure of power, just like the lure of the evil ring of power in Lord of the Rings. And so it goes with Liz Warren's Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which our next guest wants to stop. We welcome Congressman Sean Duffy, Republican from Wisconsin. Sean, we played that clip from Lord of the Rings, partly because I love Lord of the Rings. It's one of my favorite movies, but also because it just shows we really happen to like and respect Liz Warren. She was a great administrator of TARP programs. She pointed out some of the cheating that was going on in TARP that nobody else would, but she's got this almost unlimited power base now. Tell us about it.
Well, right. I mean, she's helping set up this Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And all of us agree we want to make sure we protect our consumers. We want to have a fair system that's transparent when folks are going out to get a loan or deal with a financial institution. But this board has become so powerful that one of our concerns is that consumer protection can actually trump safety and soundness in the banking industry. And if that happens, we could have some failure in our banking industry, which in the end will hurt consumers, will hurt Americans, and will hurt the economy.
Well, Sean, the thing that kills us all, the Tea Partiers and everybody else who worry about big government, is accountability. When you have a government so big, you don't have accountability. And as far as I can tell, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau that she would be the head of is essentially accountable to no one. The Bureau is part of the Federal Reserve System, but it is not accountable to anyone at the Fed. So who is it accountable to?
Well, what she'll argue is, or others will argue, is that it's accountable to FSOC. It's a group of financial regulators that have come together to look for systemic risk in the industry, and they're going to oversee the CFPB. The problem is that they've set the burden so high that if we found systemic risk in the rules that were coming from potentially Elizabeth Warren's organization, you can't overturn them. So I've introduced a bill to say, listen, let's make the standard far more reasonable. So if we're going to have any kind of risk to safety and soundness, whether it's on Wall Street or with our community banks, we have the ability to overturn those rules.
All right, but
right
hold
now,
on, Sean, because I just want to, for our viewers who don't know how big this agency could be, she, first of all, sets her own budget. I don't know any other head of an agency, a government agency, that sets their own budget. She's in charge of it. It can be as much as 10% of the combined earnings of the Federal Reserve System. That could be as much as $539 million. We're talking about a huge bureau here.
That's right, and they've effectively in Dodd-Frank taken it outside the purview of Congress, which one of the great abilities that we have is through funding, and we don't have that ability with this agency. So the funding issue is one part, but then the review from FSOC is another, and I think that's one of the concerns that a lot of congressmen have right now is, where is the oversight? What kind of control does Congress have? And, and what's happened now in this debate is those who are opposed to our reforms to the CFPB say we're opposed to consumer protection. And that's absolutely false. I mean, we want to make sure our consumers are protected, but we also want to make sure that we don't have a rogue agency that doesn't have any control from Congress.
And I don't want idiots protected. I don't want a new federal bureaucracy that costs $500 million just to protect a bunch of idiots. It is not the job of the nanny state to oversee all the people that make bad deals. There should be protections in there for consumers, but we don't want this to turn into a nanny state bureau.
No, but listen, I mean, if you make a bad decision and you had all the information when you made that bad decision, well, that's your fault. But if you didn't know all the terms of the agreement because you had some shysters doing business with you...
Well, we have laws against that, Sean. If somebody's ripping somebody off like that, throw them in jail. But use the existing laws we have. We don't need a $500 million agency to protect everybody, right?
Listen, you're singing to the choir here. Okay. I agree with you. The bottom line is it's already there. And now we got to go, how do we make this thing workable? So what we're doing here in the House is trying to introduce legislation that actually scales this thing back and gives us more oversight. We get a tong into the CFPB and potentially Elizabeth Warren if the president nominates her.
Well, she's a good woman, again, but like that
is.
good witch in Lord of the Rings, even good people could succumb to the lure of power. She's got a lot of power with this new agency. We got to leave it at that. Sean,
But one other point.
Yeah,
all right, David,
very quickly, make it in 5
She-
seconds.
she's not going to be the last director of the Bureau.
Of course.
Well, this is going to go out indefinitely. So who is the next one going to be? That's what we have to be concerned about.
That is the problem with big government. Good to see you, Sean. Thank you very much. Coming up on